You're listening to episode number 120 of the Transform Your Life from the Inside Out podcast. In this episode, obviously the title is What Pertains to You in Life. But if you find that you're going through your days and you're finishing mentally and emotionally exhausted, you're finding that life wears you out, you're finding that life and people pull you in a bazillion different directions, and many times you feel like you have nothing left to give, then you're going to love this episode. And even if that doesn't apply to you, listen to the episode because what's in this episode will apply to everyone. So keep listening. Hi, I'm Jim Fortin, and you're about to start transforming your life from the inside out with this podcast. I'm widely considered the leader in subconscious transformation, and I've coached super achievers all around the world for over 25 years. Here, you're going to find no rah-rah motivation and no hype, because this podcast is a combination of brain science, transformational psychology, and ancient wisdom all rolled into one to take your life to levels you've never thought possible. If you're wanting a lot more in life, to feel better, to heal, to have peace of mind, to feel powerful and alive, and to bring more abundance and prosperity into your life, then this podcast is for you because you're going to start learning how to master your mind and evolve your consciousness. And when you do that, anything you want then becomes possible for you. I'm glad you're here. Okay, let me ask you a question or a couple of questions. So the question is this, is number one, what pertains to you? Consider that. What pertains to you in life? Now, let's look at some scenarios. Let's say that you're a parent and you have adult kids. Does your adult kids bickering and fighting about, I don't know, family stuff or different things, does that pertain to you? Next, how about this? What if you've got two close friends or family members and they're having a rift and they're bickering? Does that pertain to you? Maybe a family squabble between adults. Does that pertain to you? And then simply here, a couple of other things is who's ever the president of your country? Whether you be in the U.S., and I think the majority of my listeners are in the U.S., does that pertain to you? And let's even go, now these things are all what I call micro, let's go macro. Does the economy, the U.S. economy, or anywhere you live, any economy anywhere in the globe, does that pertain to you? All right, I'm going to share something with you that can be life-changing for you. Quite literally. This can literally, when you get it, and the last episode was titled, Get It Already. As I mentioned before, there's so much content here, and I know that a lot of people have listened to a lot of episodes multiple times. And we might understand it, but it doesn't mean that we know it. And when you come to know what I'm sharing with you in this episode, everything will change for you. You will have more energy. You will be more peaceful. You will have more peace of mind. You will have more comfort in your life, and your life will be a lot easier. Okay, but here's what I want you to take away right now is what pertains to you in life is what you make pertain to you. Consider that. What pertains to you in life is what you make pertain to you. Now, obviously for most people, and it doesn't apply to all adults, but most of us, if we've got minor children, kids under the age of 18, that obviously pertains. There are some people, their kids don't pertain to them. I mean, they abandon their kids. I only tell you that for a reason, is that you can make anything and everything in your life pertain to you. The key also is what do you make pertain to you, and then to what degree do you make things pertain to you. Here's the reality, is that many of you make things pertain to you that really don't pertain to you, and they drain you and they suck you dry. Okay, I don't know how long you've been listening to the podcast, to my podcast, and I got a chuckle out of it because I completely understand, and I mentioned it before multiple times. People will say, Jim, why do you mention your brother-in-law, the shaman, and you kind of re-explain it on every episode? Well, the reason why is because I don't know where listeners are coming into the funnel, so to speak. Whether you're brand new, this is your first episode, or you're on episode number, 120. Off topic here, I wanted to name this podcast. My brother-in-law, the shaman, who is a shaman, told me no, it wasn't the right fit for me. I wanted to name this podcast The Shaman's Apprentice. And he told me it wasn't the right fit. And obviously, as well as we have done, well, it seems like it wasn't the right fit. But anyway, you will find all throughout these episodes, my podcast, me sharing parables and stories and things that I've learned from him and things that I've learned through my apprenticeship with him. What pertains to you? Let's go back in my life about 20 years. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I pulled into the supermarket. As I got out of the car, I could hear a little commotion. It wasn't too far, maybe one or two rows over, and there was a man and woman that were yelling at each other. Now, apparently, what had happened, and I didn't see this, but I'm guessing based upon their argument, what happened is that somehow he must have been walking away from his car into the supermarket or back to his car, and she bumped him with her car. She clipped him, she bumped him, he wasn't hurt. And they were yelling and screaming at each other, and they were really, it was just absurdities. I mean, literally, it was some name calling and just, I don't even remember, it was so long ago. But here's what happened, and I give you this only for context, is he was a white man and he was about 6'4" and he was a big guy. He was also heavy set. She was a black woman, he was probably 40-ish. She was probably 60. Now she was very petite, maybe 5'2", 5'3", a very thin woman. And the only reason I tell you that again is for context, but to give you an example, he's a man, she's a woman, and they have very obviously a disparity in physical size. Now, I didn't stop and watch their argument and their yelling because it really, I'm going to share even more, as I'm talking with you, how it really didn't pertain to me. But what happened is as they were arguing, she just reached up and smack, slapped him in the face. I mean, she could reach his face. Boom, slapped him right in the face. Now, what happened next? He slapped her back. Now, I want to point out here that the way that I grew up is that a man is never to hit a woman under any circumstances. And that part of me wanted to intervene. I mean, literally, I wanted to get involved in that moment. And what happened is she slapped him again. And after she slapped him again, he slapped her again. And the thing is this, as he slapped her again, the back of his shirt came up. And when his shirt came up, I noticed that he had a gun tucked into the back of his belt. Now, if I had to guess, I'm simply profiling. But if I had to guess, he was probably some kind of off-duty because he had the haircut, he fit the mold, etc. And it doesn't mean anything. It's just I'm profiling. But he fit the mold of an off-duty peace officer, police officer, something. And again, when he slapped her, the back of his shirt came up and I saw a gun. Now, fortunately, what had happened is there's a fire truck there. Firemen, from the fire station, they're going shopping for, I guess, Saturday lunch or something. And the firemen intervened. I went into the store, and that night I saw my brother-in-law, and I explained this to him. And I don't know why I told him this story. And what he said to me, now, bear with me here. What he said to me is he said, you know what? And please bear with me as I explain, and I'm going to use some different adjectives. But he said you had two people getting into their stupidities, meaning stupid, egotistical behavior. I mean, if you look at it, really, he had no reason to yell at her. She had no reason to yell at him and slap him. Two people into their egos. And he said to me, what was going on between those two people had nothing to do with you. And he says also, and now part of me was saying, well, it did because the guy had a woman. And that was me back then. And as I look back a lot of years later, I'm like, you know what? He's right. It had nothing to do with me. Two people were into stupid behavior, and it had nothing to do with me. Whether she hit him or he hit her, it had nothing to do with me. Now, here's the kicker, and it's very true. My brother-in-law said to me, he goes, you know what? Had you gotten involved, you don't know what that guy would have done. Maybe he could have pulled out his gun. He could have shot her. He could have shot you too. He could have erased you from the planet. You don't know that, whether he would or he wouldn't have. And that was very powerful for me when he said that because he's totally right. I saw the gun. I didn't know what he was going to do. And anybody can do anything. I mean, he could have pulled out the gun and could have shot me. And in that moment, I've carried that life lesson for a lot of years, and I've looked at, okay, what pertains to me in life? Now, normally I record these at night and I don't go shopping at night. It's very, very rare unless I need something in the house. And I normally, when I shop, it's kind of ancillary comment here, but I shop at Whole Foods and they close earlier in the evening. And I went to a U.S. supermarket called Kroger. It's not too far from my house, and there's something that I needed tonight. And I rarely see this, rarely in the supermarket, but there was this one woman screaming. She was a patron, a customer, yelling at the clerk. And literally, she was yelling at the top of her lungs. And she said, I mean, I was like 4 aisles over in the, self checkout. She said, "You disrespected me and you have no idea who you're talking to." And then she goes outside and gets in a beat up old car and drives up. And the only reason I know that is because I was kind of behind her when she walked outside. So when she says you have no idea who I am, obviously she wasn't the Dallas billionaire. And I'm just a little levity there and a little fun with the conversation. But the reality is nothing to do with me at all. And I wouldn't have gotten involved anyway, but I thought how poignant. It's interesting the synchronicity that the episode I'm going to record tonight is on what pertains to you, meaning you, the listener, what pertains to me. And I have a situation right in front of myself presenting itself, and it has nothing to do with me, and it does not pertain to me. So, again, after I've shared this story with you, and you're probably pondering it as you're listening, the scenarios that I mentioned above, when we started, maybe your adult kids are fighting, maybe your family's squabbling, or your mother's fighting with your sister, or your brother and sister are fighting, or your brother's fighting with your dad about this, that, or the other, and then you're getting in the middle, and then your parents are calling you and taking sides, and your sister calls you and says, "I can't believe what mom did," or your brother calls you and dad did this, or your sister did this, and take my side, take my side. I want you to see my side. I'm here, I'm going to get in it, and I want you to hop in the family squabble with me. Now, the question I was going to ask you is, of the scenarios that I just gave you, what pertains to you? And the correct answer, if this were a game, if this were a game show, the correct answer is what pertains to you is what you make pertain to you. Do you want to make the family squabble pertain to you? Do you want it to drain you? Do you want the argument between your sister and your dad or your mother and your sister, and they both try to drag you into it and get you to take sides? Does it pertain to you, or do you make it pertain to you? Now, we'll come back to that in just a moment. I had mentioned earlier when I said about the economy, does it pertain to you? I want to share with you, I don't do any one-to-one coaching right now, but I have coached in the business world some mega achievers, anywhere from CEOs of billion-dollar companies to high-performing selling professionals to some people that are the number one people in their industry when it comes to sales. I used to coach heavily in the real estate industry, high producing real estate agents, agents that made over $1 million per year in personal income. And there was a pattern with high producing agents. And I noticed this back in 2009 when the economy came down. One of my clients said to me, and he was one of the top 10 agents at Remax in the nation in terms of his production. He says, "You know what? I don't care what happens in the economy. The economy does not pertain to me. Whether the economy is good or the economy is bad, people are going to buy homes. So why would I make the bad economy pertain to me?" Now, that mindset is what helped him be one of the top 10 producing agents in the nation. Now, interestingly enough, a couple of days later, I was speaking at a real estate company, a very prominent one in Dallas, and the office manager who manages all aspects, meaning all agents, said, "Well, it's just a whore," and she was being in victim mentality and her voice tone and everything else. "It's just a really hard economy out there, and we just have to try harder and we have to work harder and blah, 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 blah." Well, she's the office leader, but that mentality is what keeps people down at lower levels of production versus a mentality like, "I don't care what happens in the economy." And where I work from in my own life is, you know what? economy is always going to go up. It's always going to go down. So why don't I ride the economy in the best way possible? And I always work from, you know what? It doesn't matter to me what happens in the economy. What matters is what I choose to think about that and how I choose to act and respond. But the reason that I share that story with you is because I asked you earlier what pertains to you in the economy. So I'm not, I was going to go somewhere else. I'm not even going to do it in this episode because I don't want to open a can of worms that I don't want to make this a 2-hour episode. And I'll probably talk about it a little later, but what's happening in the world of COVID and the economy and everything else, what pertains to you, whether or not you want to argue or disagree, doesn't matter to me, because what pertains to you is what you're going to make pertain to you. And again, that's a whole different podcast episode. I remember in my transformational programs, there was a woman a couple of programs back, and lovely woman. I just, what a phenomenal woman. And she was very distraught, and she was actually asked for coaching. In the group programs, we call them actually transformational seats. Even though they're group programs, I or my coaches will coach individually people that ask for coaching. And she was very distraught because her daughter was gay, and that's not why she was distraught. Her daughter was getting married, and her son would not attend the daughter's wedding because he wasn't going to, I don't know the exact word, endorse or whatever, his sister's wedding. And the mom was very distraught about it, and I guess I can understand to some degree. But the mom said, and when I say some degree, because I don't get into a lot of people's stuff, which I'll talk about here in a moment. But the mom said to me, she goes, "You don't understand. We're a family. We've always done things together our entire lives. I've got 2 kids, and we always did things as a family unit. Well, right now, what's going on is not meeting her past model of reality. Therefore, it's causing a lot of distress in her." And what I told her is you're making this bickering between the siblings, you're making it about you. You're making it as you're the one that's got to hold the family together. You're making it pertain to you. And she recognized that whether she got involved or didn't get involved or whatever it was, her son wasn't going to change his mind. And he didn't. And I said, this is what, if you were asking me for one-to-one coaching, this is what I would tell you to do. Let your son be your son. He's going to make his choices. He's an adult. Support your daughter 100%. Go to the wedding and have a great time. And that's what she did. And after the wedding, she's like, you know what? I miss my son not being there. But you know what? You telling me just to go and enjoy and have a good time and be supportive, that's what I did. And it was amazing. And she goes, had I not gone from that mental place, I would have been distraught the whole time. Why? Because my son wasn't there seeing his sister get married and seeing his sister be happy. And she goes, I didn't get into that. So what I want to share with you is that so many of you, and I've been there, but it's been a lot of years, because I learned this lesson a lot of years ago. I came to know it. So many of you get your energy, and I was actually gonna do the episode on energy this week, and I'll push it off for a couple of weeks, maybe next week. But you get your energy sucked dry by your friends, your family, and their drama. Consider that. You get yourself sucked dry, and the way you get yourself sucked dry is when you get into things and you get into people's drama and you get into all their nonsense and even their stupidities and their bickering and their fighting and their backbiting back and forth. That's emotional. And we only have our brains work, for example, like a battery on a cell phone, and which I'll talk about in just a minute. Well, I'll talk about it. Well, let me get there in just a second. But here's the thing. If you're spending your entire day worry, 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 I've got to keep the peace. Kids are bickering, my adult kids that is. Kids are bickering back and forth. Got to keep the peace. My mom did this, my brother did that, my dad did that. Mom and dad are fighting. Mom and dad are getting a divorce. They're putting me in the middle. My brother's fighting my mom's fighting my dad. Bicker. It wears you out. And then you wonder why you come home and you plop down in the chair at the end of the day, whether it be your family, your friends, the world around you, your boss, your work environment, or whatever it is these people suck you dry because you allow it. Plain and simple. There was a lady a couple of days ago. She's a family member to a friend of mine, and she goes, "I am so sick and tired of people doing this in the world, and I am sick and tired of people doing that, and sick and tired of people doing this." And my only thought was, well, if you're sick and tired, then stop letting it suck you in. Stop giving people your energy. Back to the battery I'd mentioned a couple of minutes ago in our brains and our energy bodies is, and I've mentioned this before, maybe twice in the podcast, maybe three times, but I at least know once. Many years ago, there's a documentary by Maria Shriver, former wife of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And obviously, you know Maria Shriver. I mean, she's in the Kennedy clan and she's a journalist and a very prominent one. And she created a documentary called Paycheck to Paycheck. And it was about the 40 million single mothers in America who live paycheck to paycheck. And they work two or three jobs. And literally their whole days are go from the second the time they get out of bed. I mean, they're out of bed, they're cooking breakfast, taking the kids to school all day long. And they come home and they're just worn out. And the cycle starts again tomorrow. Well, the way that the brain works and the reason it's hard for them to get out of these cycles is because the brain is like a battery. And at the end of the day, there's no power left. There's no juice. So there's no way for these women to focus on getting out of the poverty because at the end of the day, the battery's dead. All they want to do is go to bed, collapse, get up tomorrow, and start over again. But see, the same thing applies to you. If you're in, and some people insert themselves in all the drama in the world. So if you insert yourself in the drama of the world or your family or something else, end of the day, your battery is dead. And then you wonder why you're so worn out and you're so tired. In one of my first group transformational coaching programs, this was probably 2 years ago. I don't know anything about him. I think his name was Anthony Bourdain or something like that. He was a chef, and I think he committed suicide, right? I mean, you probably know, or many of you, or some of you might know. And somebody in the group said, well, how do we manage when things like that happen in the world? And my response was, because something else in my life happened along those lines many years ago and I learned it, is it has nothing to do with you. I said, did you know him? And she's like, well, no, he's just a celebrity personality. And I said, well, then how does it pertain to you? And she goes, well, I never thought about it that way. So the reality is that you, if you're like many people, you probably insert yourself into the world, things that don't pertain to you, and you let it drain you. Others' arguments, others' drama, online, on Facebook, blah, 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 fight back and forth, etc., etc., etc. Now, as you know, and if you don't know, you know this episode, my brother-in-law is a shaman. The shaman that taught him was talking to me one day. It was a lot of years ago. And he said to me, he said to me, he says, you know what? He goes, you're not exhausting the world. You're not exhausting me. You're exhausting yourself. And I've always carried that with me. Because of all the crap you may get into, you're not exhausting the world. It has no effect on the world. You're not exhausting me. We don't know each other. It has no effect on me. You may be exhausting your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, or somebody else if you're out there exhausting people because the world is exhausting you, and then you're one of those people that have to go dump on other people and you're exhausting them. But in the end, the only person that's being exhausted is yourself. So how does this pertain to you? How do we make this something tangible for you? Here's a question that I have for you. I'm going to call it, and this is a phrase that I was taught and I've used for a lot of years, is entanglement. What do you entangle in? Consider that. What do you entangle in? And I'm going to share with you, I'm just being transparent. There's very little in the world that I live in, and I'll tell you why before the end of this episode, that I entangle in. Because 99% of what happens in the world doesn't pertain to me. What pertains to me is what I make pertain to me. Now, if I want to get involved with something and I want to support a cause or whatever, then I have to look at is, well, to what degree do I get involved with this particular cause? But what a lot of people do is when they want to support a cause, they entangle in the cause. And then when they entangle in the cause drains them. So be very careful about that. So what I say is, it'll make sense to you now, is I stay untangled. And it's so easy this day. Like for example, people started listening, I guess. I used to get tons of friend requests on Facebook. Doesn't matter. I don't use my personal Facebook. So if you're expecting me to post something on Facebook or whatever, it ain't gonna happen. I don't use Facebook. And the main reason why, um, please, this isn't directed at anybody, but for the most part, Facebook is toxicity and it's mental toxicity. And I have no interest in entangling myself in the ridiculous nonsense on Facebook. So, some of the nonsense right now let me be very clear. It's not the actual subject matter, it's people arguing about it. And the nonsense that people get into, again, it's not the subject matter. The subject matter is your health and wellness and what we can do to be responsible citizens to make sure we're not spreading COVID and we're not doing things irresponsibly. That's the subject matter. But the fight right now online is to wear a mask or not to wear a mask. And you will see people bickering back and forth all day long. All the reasons that you should, I'm not going to wear a mask because it's an infringement on my personal liberties. And the World Health Organization said no. And this organization said no. And then on the other side, you see, well, we have to be responsible for all the people out in the world. And what a jerk you are for not being responsible. And the World Health Organization said yes on the second Tuesday of every month because they're changing their mind every couple of days. And you should do it because of this and that. And what if you had an elderly parent? And on and on and on. And it's all pure entanglement. The way that I look at it is whether you wear a mask or don't wear a mask. And by the way, some of you might want to argue. Please don't send a letter or anything to the help desk, my support at jimfortin.com, because I'll never see it. But where I work from is if you're going to wear a mask, you're going to wear a mask for your own reasons. And if you're not, you're not. It has nothing to do with me whether you do or you don't. Unless you walk up to me and cough right in my face, which is it's pretty unlikely that's going to happen. And even that being said, several months back, I wanted to create an episode on how to stay well and how to stay healthy in the light of coronavirus. And do your own research. I'm going to segue for 30 seconds here and then come right back. Is I take D3 and moderate doses right now, D3 mixed with K2. Look it up, do your own research. You will find that early on, all the deaths in Italy and Spain and Switzerland, the population had very low levels of D3 in their system. And there was even something somebody sent me yesterday from Europe about how D3 is recognized as, let's just put it this way, I'll leave it at this, simply as a combatant to coronavirus. So go do your own homework and look for some credible research. And I even posted something a while back, not in this group, but a very credible research site saying that D3, well, and then it doesn't say, but mixed with K2 is a very, very effective combatant to getting corona. Anyway, let's come back to the topic here. So if people want to argue all day long, that's fine. Let them drain themselves all day long because it doesn't have anything to do with me. So when you entangle, look at what you entangled in today if you did. When you entangle in other people's drama, all that you're simply doing is draining yourself. Also, I don't, as I mentioned to a little earlier, is I don't let people entangle me. Meaning I don't let people, because this is what people love to do. Let's say you've got 3 or 4 siblings and your sister's fighting with your mom. What your sister's going to do is call you to enroll you in the fight against mom because your sister knows what's best for mom. Now, obviously, some children might know what's best. I mean, your parents might have dementia, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. I get that. But many times family squabbles are about mentally very capable people and they're squabbling back and forth about something. And then what will happen is a family member will call you to enroll you in their entanglement against someone else in the family, as friends do that as well. It's just so funny because what a lot of people want to do is they want to entangle and stir the pot, and then what they'll do is, hey, you come help me. Put your hand on the spoon here, the big old spoon, and I want you to stir the pot with me. So think about that and think about how much you entangle in other people's stuff. Okay, I did mention earlier is Get involved in the world if that works for you and it's something, meaning particular causes. And I'm not going to go into it here because it's a whole can of worms, but there are many social things going on in the world right now. But if you feel called to support a particular cause, then get involved and assist. But always keep in mind, are you assisting and to what degree are you assisting? Or are you entangling in it and letting it wear you out? Because there's a different thing between the two. Or they're both different, let me put it that way. I want to share with you here, this is what I call a micro perspective, meaning it's an ego perspective being on the planet. But a macro perspective that I take is that I'm in this world, but not of this world. I'm not going to be on this planet very long, and you know what? You're not either. Whether you're here 30 years, 40 years, even 100 years, even if you're on the planet 100 years, that is a lightning flash in terms of air quote time, meaning it's nothing. So when I look at all the things around me that I see, and it doesn't mean that I love everything that I see and like everything that I see around me. I want to be very clear about that. But when I look around me and I see things playing out, the place that I go is that I'm in the world, but not of the world. And here's where I go, is collectively as a species, as ethnicities, as male, as female, as nationalities, and the list goes on, karma is playing out. Karma is playing out in everything right in front of your eyeballs, in front of your mother, your siblings, your friends, your race, your gender, your nationality, whatever it is, karma at a cosmic level and a human evolutionary level is playing out. So I don't have the personal power to see. Now, a shaman would. I'm not a shaman. I'm a shaman's apprentice, and I've still got a lot to learn. I tell you, actually, there's far less than I know than what I actually would. How do I want to say that? I know far less. I can't even think what I want to say right now. Anyway, I got a ton to learn. But here's the thing is I don't know your personal power and your mom's personal power and your mom's karma and your karma. I don't know your levels of karma, so I don't know what you're fighting out. So why would I entangle myself in that? Now again, it doesn't mean that I can't get involved in social causes and things of that nature, but I do not entangle myself. Why? Because that is taxing. And what I know is that soul karma is playing out, and I have to respect that. Let me give you a metaphor here, and then I want to share a little bit about the training I'm going to be doing on October the 11th about money. Because 78% of the American population, as I've said before, and I believe that's probably consistent with the rest of the world, 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And it's completely unnecessary that people live paycheck to paycheck. As a matter of fact, after this training, if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're barely getting by, it's because you're making the choice to live paycheck to paycheck and to barely get by. Now, you may want to argue with that because that's what people will do at face value sometimes. So what I'm telling you, after this training, you live paycheck to paycheck, go look in the mirror because you're making the choice to do it. Now, let me go back to a metaphor I wanted to share that I work from. Shocker, but I learned it from my brother-in-law as well. And it's a metaphor that he's used for a lot of years. Is if you're on a cliff and and there's water below. If you're on a cliff and you look off the cliff and there's water below, if you stay on the cliff, you stay dry. If you hop off the cliff, you get wet. So what I want to ask you is, do you want to be dry, metaphorically, in life, or do you want to be wet in life? And wet is the drama and the entanglement. Now, only you can make that choice for you, and I don't know, and some of you will get this quicker than other people. But the reality is that I choose to stay dry. There's a phrase that I use quite a bit in my transformational coaching programs, and it's just a jovial, colloquial phrase, but you know what? Not my monkeys, not my circus. When I look at the things that people get into, not my monkeys, not my circus, it doesn't pertain to me. All right, before I tell you about the weekly transformational takeaway, as I alluded to on the last call, I'm going to be doing a call I believe it's going to be 2 hours on August the 11th. I'm sure it's going to be in the afternoon Central Standard Time. I don't have a time yet, but mark your calendar for August the 11th. And the title of that training is How the Law of Attraction Repels the Money and Abundance You Want and How to Become Rich. Now, what you may want to do is go back and listen to episode number 9 where I talk about how people use the law of attraction to repel money. I'm going to go deeper in this training because what I'm going to look at 6 things in this call. And I guarantee you this is not law of attraction. Oh, Bob Proctor and the secret and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm going beyond that. I'm going to make it very practical for you. That's why I'm telling you. After this training, if you continue to live paycheck to paycheck, you're making the choice to do it. And I want you to own that because I'm going to show you how I myself have gone from literally a little, poor small town Texas farm boy growing up in the poorest county in the nation to owning a business that attracts millions upon millions of dollars on a yearly basis. All right, I'm not gonna go into any of this, but I want to just share with you. I've already laid out the training, and I've never done this training before, but I'm going to cover six topics. I'm not even going to explain them right now. Maybe more as we get closer to the call, I will. But number one is shifting your money, air quote, locus of control. Many of you have your locus of control in the wrong place when it comes to money. Secondly, I'm going to talk about wealth and poverty identity. Your identity will determine your wealth in life because whatever value you have, what is your identity determines your wealth. We're going to talk about subconscious habits and money. We're going to talk about prosperity consciousness. Many of you go out and do things in the world, but you still don't attract money, and the reason why is because you're broke when it comes to your prosperity consciousness. We're going to talk about why it's vital that in your mind you separate your money consciousness from your work. Most people marry them and they actually literally tether and tie their income to their work. Well, the fallacy there, or the bad thing there, is that when the work goes down, the income goes down. They're not related, but most people make them related. And then finally, self-autonomy. So those are the 6 things we're going to cover in that training. It's on August the 11th. It'll be in the afternoon time. What I want to share with you also is that training is not free. I believe the price point on that training is going to be $97. And you might be thinking, well, Jim, why are you charging me for this, the training? Simple. I'm going to just be candid with you, and hopefully you're recognizing I'm just very direct and very candid. The reality is this, is people do not appreciate what they do not pay for. I guarantee you. You go back and you listen to episode number 9 again and again and again. But see, that episode's free. If you paid me $1,000 for that episode, you can bet your butt that you know what? You would take that episode apart, you would dissect it, you would literally just dig in like with a vengeance to that episode or every episode. But you know what? You don't do that. Even if you listen multiple times to the episodes, which many people do, because the team tells me we get tons of emails from people saying they listen to the episodes multiple times. But see, here's the reality, and it pertains to me as well. You and people generally do not appreciate what's free. They put little value on what's free. So I'm putting a $97 value on this program. And by the way, I'm not even keeping the money for this. I'm not going to make any money off from this. I'll tell you more about that later. But I'm putting a $97 value, not for me, but for you. So you get more out of it and you value what I'm going to share with you in that training. So for now, that's enough for now. I've covered the 6 areas that I'm going to cover in that training. Mark your calendar, August the 11th. All right, your transformational takeaway this week is pretty simple. What pertains to you in your life is what you make pertain to you. Okay, thanks for listening. I really, really appreciate you listening. And if you would please, as I say, I don't say enough, is share, please share the episodes with your friends, with your family. If you find value here, and the fact that you're here means that you find value, if you find value, please, a little reciprocity back to me, because these episodes and my team cost me thousands of dollars to bring this to you. It's not like it's free to bring this to you. It costs a fortune, and it costs time, and it costs my time, which is valuable to bring this. So a little universal reciprocity from you back to me could be share the episodes on social media, share with your friends and your family if you think it will help them. Okay, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you over on the next episode. Take care and make it a great day today. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this entire podcast. If you're the kind of person who likes to help others, then share this with your friends and family. You know, if you found value, they will too. So please share via your social media channels. Also, if you have questions, I'm here to assist. You can email me questions to support@jimfortin.com, and I may even use your question for a future podcast episode. Also, if you want transformational content like this daily, connect with me on Instagram. My Instagram name is I am Jim Fortin. Finally, I do have a personal request. I believe that we're all here to help others and to grow and evolve ourselves. Together, you and I, let's help more people. If you would please leave a review on iTunes, and a good one by the way. I'd be grateful, and through your assistance together, we can transform more lives.